So I knew you were gonna laugh, Ellen. So this is a complicated thing. So thanks to the Supreme Court of the United States, they made a decision in 2021, September of 2021, and they said, okay, every state now can go after anybody who makes an online purchase. Doesn't matter where the purchase is coming from. So I just want to, from business owners' standpoint, I want to put this out there. So first of all, if you are selling exclusively on Amazon, this is a non-issue. Don't even think about it. Forget it. It's a non-issue. You don't have to do a thing if you are just selling on Amazon. But if you are selling on Amazon and on your website and on Walmart, and also you are doing a little bit of wholesale on the side, and you are obviously selling to different states, now you've got a situation, right? So tell us, Ellen, paint the big picture for us on this, and then Iona, give us the nitty gritty. How does a seller deal with this situation?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to sales tax, this is why we actually really recommend Amazon businesses do work with an e-commerce accountant, because they really understand this, right? And there are so many different kind of rates depending on where you are. So from when I've been working at A2X kind of 6 years ago, actually a common mistake Amazon businesses would make is there was sales tax recorded in those net deposits, and they were then recording that as income. So they're essentially putting sales tax down as income, and it needed to be a liability, something they owed. So A2X would always take all of the sales tax and put it into one liability account available for separate filing. Iona, so correct me if I'm wrong here. I do feel like sales tax sometimes does slip in, or has Amazon really nailed down that process now?
Yeah, definitely. The marketplace facilitator arrangements that we have now in place have made things a lot easier, without a doubt. A lot of the grunt work is sort of done for sellers now, with the marketplace facilitator taxes being withheld for them and remitted for them. But I think what Nick was touching on there is the whole nexus side of things. When you are solely Amazon, you can confine that, and you are pretty much automated in a lot of ways. But when you branch out of Amazon and you like any of those options that Nick mentioned, you can then get into a situation where you have nexus in certain states. And so that sort of relates to the link that like a business has in a particular state in the US, where it obligates the business to, collect and remit taxes, but report on those taxes as well. And therefore it can, definitely make things a lot more tricky when you're coming to the sales tax accounting side of things. And that's where obviously people like yourself, Nick, and our accounting partners are super helpful. And yeah, A2X accounts for all of the sales tax. We allocate sales tax amounts to a liability account, so sellers will always know the overall ins and outs. So what was collected, and then also what was remitted if they want to see that data separately. And then obviously when it comes to the actual state level nexus and filing and so on, yeah, most of our customers will work with their accountants and get that side done.
So the first thing not to do is, Ellen, what you mentioned, by the way, there is another version of that. In other words, Amazon, if you are doing your own shipping, and that your state is not in on the list of those states that Amazon collects sales tax for, Amazon will collect sales tax for you and then pay you what they collected. Then it's up to you to pay that to your state government as the sales tax on your return, monthly return, quarter, whatever your the frequency of your filing is. But one common mistake, because it all comes lumped into one net deposit, right?
Yeah.
So you may actually post that as income. Well, what happens next is somebody knocking on your door and say, hello, you know, we understand you've been collecting sales tax. Now you owe us. Now, they don't, I mean, you're not out of pocket in that sense. I mean, you've already received it. You just misaccounted. You may have, in fact, paid higher taxes, income taxes, because you declared more income than you should have. Okay, you can get that tax back. That's no harm. But they're going to charge you penalty and interest. So this is serious. The other thing that does happen is when you set up your account, you decide whether you want to collect sales tax or not. And it may be a state where it's not on the list of those states that Amazon collects sales tax for. But it may be the state you are in. And then you check the box and say, okay, I want to collect sales tax for all sales to, let's say, Wyoming. And Amazon will collect that. But if you haven't registered with the state for collecting sales tax, but you check the box, you'll be receiving cash without having to declare anything. In other words, you're flying under the radar. So if that ever comes out, because it's so easy to check a box and start collecting sales tax, but it's not as easy to go file, get a sales tax ID and blah, blah. People neglect. So the next thing is somebody is going to come after you because you have been collecting sales tax without actually being a taxpayer.
It's frowned upon. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, this does happen. So this is all about selling on Amazon. But what Iona said that I want to clarify that you called Nexus. So the term is, do you have Nexus in that state? All that means is, are you going to be liable for sales tax in that state? So what determines that is nobody knows, as specific as it can be as a general rule, because it's different for every state. There, some states are extremely aggressive. California, for example, they will come after you. You know, I've heard horror stories, but it's never easy. In other words, they put this whole system in place where doesn't matter what you do, you will very easily, you will qualify to be responsible for sales tax. So that's what will then give you Nexus. And that means that you need to now know how much you've sold to that state, how much you collected, what are your total sales. So because you need to show the taxable sales, non-taxable sales, and all that stuff. That's where it gets complicated. So this is not something you can do by hand, definitely. And but it is only an issue if you're selling through other channels than just Amazon, right?
You can also trigger Nexus in a state if you store inventory there. And you are right, it varies state by state. So definitely work with an expert when it comes to sales tax. A2X will help facilitate, but yeah, that's our advice.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching this for a long time, way back before the Supreme Court thing. But when finally I watched the hearings, I mean, these states, they make so passionate arguments because they're all hungry. They all need cash. And this is something that they've been complaining about for years. And finally, you know, there is sales tax, unfortunately. So you have to account for it. And so that's why my recommendation to sellers who are just starting out, it's so tempting and easy just to put up your website and make sales. Don't bother. Don't do it, because for the few dollars that you're going to make, there are a lot of other things that you're going to be responsible for, not to mention driving traffic to a website, blah, blah. So I say just leave it, just focus on Amazon, start there, set up your infrastructure, and then when the time is right, you can look at other channels. And then that's where A2X also can help, right? Because you guys also do the Walmart integration, you have all the other channels. So give us everything else that you are integrated with.
Yeah, so Shopify, Walmart, eBay, Etsy, BigCommerce, and then of course Amazon.
Okay, so any seller selling through any one of these channels, and as long as their website is built with Shopify, you can pretty much take care of everything. So I have one question on that.